So as you can see, if I create a class and I extend that class from JFrame, you can see that JFrame belongs to this package javax.swing. So I'll choose this because I need the same. As I said earlier also, that this Swing framework or Swing is actually uh, using or basically we'll be using the Swing to create, or Swing library to create these window applications. So that's why our class must extend from JFrame. JFrame is what? JFrame is a frame. It's a frame. It's a window. That's all. So then we will create a constructor. So let's say public hello world. This is the name of the constructor. You know, by now you should be aware of what is a constructor. It is the method in a class whose name is same as the name of the class. So it is used to initialize the object. So whenever an object of this class will be created, whatever you are going to write in this, that will be executed. So this particular function or method will be called. So it's a frame. So the methods which you're going to use here are, let's say, set size. So first you set the dimension. So it will be a rectangular window. So let's say 200 cross 300. So that is the width and height of the window. Next, every window also have a title, right? So let's give it a title as well. Let's say the title is same hello world. And then in order to show it, we will have a function called, we'll call a function called set visible. And you can see it takes a Boolean input, a Boolean argument. So when you set it to true, it will make it visible. So that is your, this is the hello world constructor, but it won't be called on its own. There should be some deriving program which will call this. So let's have our main here itself. So public static void main, right? Main should take, as you know, it takes array of string. This is array of string. You are aware of all these things, right? Array and all, how to create array of string and all. Okay. Now in this case, what we have to do, we know that the JFrame has a constructor. That constructor will create a window. It will set its size, set its title, and then it will make it visible. Now that function has to, that method has to be called, that hello world method has to be called. So who should call it? We'll call it in this main method. So here, how to call a constructor? Just by creating an object of that type. So say hello world HW is equals to new hello world. That's all. Okay, so this is the simplest program which you can think of in Swing. So now let's execute this program now. Okay, are you able to see? Okay, you won't be able to see because only the ID is shared. Let me share the entire screen. This very small window you are able to see, right?
Oh, yeah.
Its width is 200 and height is 300. Okay, and there is a title as well, but title is not visible because of the width. So if you want to see the title, what you can do is you can maximize it or increase its size. So here you can see hello world, that is the title of this window.
Okay.
Right, so there is a Swing package or Swing library which is part of Java, and it is available. I mean, by default it is available to you, and you can directly use it to create these windows. Why we have done this? Because we want to have some interactive programming now, and we also want to learn few concepts of Java which we can understand better when we are doing this GUI programming. Mostly you won't be using Swing anymore, but wherever or whatever framework you will be using for UI, and where there will be interaction between UI and the backend, there the same concepts will be used which we are going to use right now. Okay, using this, but using this is very simple to set up, and you can start with this very quickly. So that's why I'm using this framework. Okay, now let's close this window, so that will finish the and exit the execution of the program. Now let's add some it was not interactive, right? So let's do that now. The next thing,
Okay.
suppose we want to create a very simple or basic calculator in which it will take two numbers, number 1 and number 2, and it will give you the addition of those two numbers. That is, it will give you the sum of those two numbers which you are going to input in the text fields in that window, the window which you have seen, right? So we'll do some changes in the code which we have already seen. So how to actually do that, right? So let's first create a new program or new file in this. Let's create a new Java class. Let's give it name, say simple calculator. Okay. So we are going to add buttons and various input elements into this, right? So first, just like in the previous program, it was importing this package. Similarly here also, we'll import the same package. Okay, we haven't used it, but still we know that we are going to use it. That's why I'm doing it. Next, public.
You don't write for when you wrote simple calculator, you don't write extends
Yes,
J.
right now I have not written. Right now I have not written. We'll write that. I'll show you where I'll
Oh,
write that.
okay.
Yeah, public static void main. Okay, now here this basically how to create this, or how to create a basic application, basic Swing application. I'll tell you that. So instead of writing code like the previous one where we have created a class which was directly extending JFrame, right? JFrame is actually example of a container. It's a container, that means which can contain something. So it holds UI elements, UI controls. For example, you can add you have already added a title to that. You can also add various other elements like buttons and all those things. So the code which we have seen earlier, that will work. But uh, these various features, right, which we have specified there, like set size, set title, and all those things, we try to do it in a separate file. So that's what we are going to do here. By doing that, we are actually defining the layout of our window, right? The layout. So the JFrame which we have seen, that will actually include some other containers. Remember, JFrame is the outermost container. That outermost container will have various other UI controls. So you will understand this when I'll explain you, or when we'll go through this program. So the steps which we have to follow in such programs is what? You have to first create a panel, right? This is actually called JPanel. So let us write that itself. So that should be the first step. Second is, now you have to place your UI elements, for example, text box or a button or a label in different places, right? So in what should be the layout or how it should be arranged in that particular window. So that you have to specify, and Java gives you, Swing gives you a thing called layout manager. So you will have to assign a layout manager to the panel which you have created, the J panel which you have created. So that will be the second step. Now this is a procedure which you have to follow, right? The third step is what? Create, or you have to create objects of some, you can say swing controls. So create object of some or desired swing controls or UI controls, means nothing but UI, those elements which control the UI, right? And add controls to panel, that is JPanel. So that is the third step which you will have to follow. Next, whatever the panel you have created, that panel has to be added to the topmost container, which is nothing but JFrame. Just now I have explained you that the JFrame is the biggest container, right? Or the outermost container or the top level container. So add panel to JFrame. What is JFrame? It is the outermost or the topmost container. Next is you have to set frame size and make it visible. So see, we have already created a program without doing all these things. We have created a program already, right? This hello world, without doing all this. In that, our class actually extended JFrame directly. And it had a main function. And when we executed it, the constructor was called. And in constructor, we have done the same, the last step, right? That is says set size, title, and visible. This is the last step, which was here. So we have actually done only these two things in the previous program. That is, we have created a JFrame and we set its size and made it visible. That's all. These two steps we have done earlier. But now we said that we are going to follow this procedure. So actually, these procedures or these are called the best practices, right? This is the way you should, and you should write a program, right? So there should be a consistent, you can say, a process process of writing code followed by a professional team, so that it becomes easy for everyone to learn that code, to debug that code, to make some changes in that code. So the code becomes more maintainable. It becomes easy to maintain, easy to modify. That is why some processes or some good, you can say, coding principles are followed. You understood, right?
Mhm.
It's like you have some standards, and if everybody is following those standards or rules, it becomes easy to manage those people who are organized, right?
Right.
Compared to people who are doing random activities, right? So that is the thing which we are following here. Okay, that is the main objective of this. So we are going to do this, right? And Java already gives you this layout manager, which helps you in laying out the window or the UI of your program, of your application. So we are going to do the same thing here. That is, we are going to follow these 5 steps one by one, and we'll create a very simple calculator. So just see how we are going to do that. So first we have to create a JPanel. So just like you have created a JFrame there, by extending a class. Here you can create a JPanel. That means there will be a class of the name of JPanel. You will have to just create an object of that class. So JPanel, you can see I have written JP and it gives me that hint. So JPanel is the name of the class, which is part of what? Swing. So we have already imported that. So there is no problem in that. So JPanel. After that, what? Let this panel will be inside the JFrame. So we'll say that is nothing but window content is equals to new JPanel. That is how you create an object. Class name, object name is equals to new, and the constructor call. That's all created. Next is what? You have to assign a layout manager to this. How to do that? So what is layout manager? There are different layout managers. Layout actually is how these components are going to be added to the container, whether it is going to be added horizontally, whether it is going to be added vertically, whether you will divide your screen into grids of columns and rows, and then you will add your elements there. So like that, we have different layout managers. So the simplest layout manager is called flow layout, where the UI controls will be added horizontally. It will be added to the container horizontally. So container here is what? JPanel. JPanel is the container, and in that container you are going to add few UI elements. In order to arrange those UI elements, we are going to use functionality, or we are going to use this layout manager. So first, again, you will have to create a layout manager. Which type of layout manager you want? The basic or the simplest one is flow layout. So we'll create a layout called flow layout. So here you have flow layout. But now what do you see? This is not from java.swing. It is from Java AWT, which is a older version of Java Swing. So before Swing, AWT, as we have already discussed in the beginning, that was into use. So flow layout, as soon as I do that, here you see that there is another package imported, that is AWT, because the flow layout belongs to that. Okay, so whatever is happening on the screen, you have to observe everything, right? For example, how you are adding a class, you are creating an object. Then when you are creating an object, and if that object is not, if that particular class is not there in your, it's not declared by you, you are not the author of that class, then what happens? It sees in its library, and whatever part of library has that class, it imports here. So all these things you try to observe. Next is you create this flow layout. So let's say flow layout is let's have a variable called flow layout is equals to new flow layout. That's all. So you created, you have not yet assigned this to the JPanel. So next what you have to do, JPanel dot set, not direct JPanel. What is the name of the JPanel? Window content. So window content dot set. Now you see there are a lot of functions or methods. We have to use layout. So set layout, and in that layout it expects us to enter a layout manager. What is our layout manager? This flow layout manager added. So this is the second step. We created a layout manager and we added this layout manager to the JPanel. Coming to the third. In third, what you have to do? You have to create objects of required swing controls. For example, we may have to create a label. So this thing should be in your mind. This picture should be clear in your mind. Whatever you are going to draw on the window, it should be clear in your mind that what you are going to draw. So for example, here, I want I want to make a or draw a window like this, in which there will be, say, a prompt number 1, and then there will be a box like this, or second, number 2, again a box like this, and then somewhere here I'll show the result, and there will be a button here showing add. So something like this I want to create. So there has to be, so these different UI elements which you are seeing, they have different names. For example, this is called label, this is your text box, right? This is a button. So we have to create all these things. This may be a label, or this may be a text input, anything. So let's do it. Let's try to make a layout, create. So these controls, right? Label, text boxes, or buttons, these have to be created, right? So let's do that. So one label for number one label for number 2, one input field for number one input field for number 2. So these, whatever UI element you see on the screen, on the diagram which I have shown you, you see that there are a lot of things like that. For example, you have button, J button, checkbox, color chooser, dialog, all these things. So here we want J label, that is to create a label. Say this is label for number 1. So we have given it name similar to the purpose, right? Label LVL NUM 1. So this is label for number 1. You have to create this object, new J label, done. And then in this you see there are some, you can actually have some, this is a constructor, and constructor can take some input as well, we have already seen. So here this can also take some input, and one of the input is the text which you want to add to this label. Let's say I want to add number 1. I want it to be shown like this. Done. That is label for number 1. Next, after this, I want to create a text field. So you have seen I have written J. I wanted a text field, so I have written T, and it gives me an option for text field. So this J text field, say this is field for number 1. Again, these are variable names. You can, are you following it?
Yes.
Or do you, okay. So you can stop me whenever you have any doubt, right? So don't waste, don't wait for anything. Just give me your, I mean, you can just ask whenever you have a problem. Now here you see J text field, I have given 10. So this actually means how many columns. That means how many digits or how many characters it should be able to hold, right? It just gives you the width. So the width of the text field we have given here, that it should be 10. Similarly, we want to create both the things for number 2 as well. So let's copy this and say text number 2, change this. So now we have 2 labels and 2 fields for number 1 and number 2. Next, we want another label for sum, just to display sum, the string sum. So label for sum, new label, and here I'll display sum. Okay, no functionality we have added. We are just creating these fields. We are just creating these controls. These are not yet added to the panel. Okay. Next we want a field. Let's say field only. J text field for result, where we are going to show the result. So new J text field. Again, what should be the length? Let it be 10 as well. What else? A button. So now J, B, it gives us the hint of button. So we created this button. Uh, Name of the button, let's say button sum is equals to new J button. And what are you going to add? What are you going to display on this button? Let's say we have this add instruction. So create object of required swing controls. We are done with this. We have created this, but now you have to add controls to the panel. So we have to, whatever these controls you have created, label, field, and button, this you have to add to the panel. Where is the panel? Here is the panel, window content. So in this window content, you will add these controls. And how will they be arranged? That will be decided by the layout manager which you have set in the window content. What is the layout manager? Flow layout. What is flow layout? Flow layout is a flow layout manager. So what is the property of this flow layout manager? It arranges the data, or it arranges the UI controls in horizontal manner. Okay, so now next we have to do this, that is to the panel. What is the name of the panel? Window content. What do you have to do to this? You have to add the components. So let's do that one by one. So what all components we have created? We have created label for number one. Let's use that. Then we have to do the same thing and add, next to the label we should have our text field. So that is field for number one. Same thing for number two. Next
But
is
if
our,
they added horizontally, then would all of these be in one
what?
line? You said all these things get added horizontally, right?
Yes, this will be added horizontally, but obviously if the size of the window is limited, so if the horizontal space is finished, then it will go to the next line.
But what if like
If you
there's
want it to be vertical, right? So we will see that as well.
okay.
We'll see that later. Okay, I'll show you that as well. So this is, as I said, we start with the simplest one, then we'll make it, or we'll include more complexity into this. Okay, so label added, two fields added. Next is we have to add the label which shows result. So that is, I guess, label sum. Okay, next to this will be again our text field, and I think that is field for result. And then there is a button. I think that's all. So window content dot add button. Done. So we have created the object and added to the panel. Next is what? Now your panel is created, but all these things are happening in memory, that is the RAM. In your memory of the system, all these things are being created. All the objects are created, and object is added to the another object, which is a window content or JPanel. Now this JPanel has to be added to a JFrame, because JFrame is the outermost, you can say, container from where everything starts. So now you will have to create a JFrame. So create a JFrame, and here you can see that our class is not extending from the JFrame. We are creating a JFrame object. So from that, if I ask you now, from whatever we have studied till now, what do you say about JFrame? Is it an abstract class or a concrete class?
Um, an abstract class.
Okay,
I
in our
think.
previous class we have extended our class from the JFrame. So we can, this extend can be done, I mean you can extend a class from a concrete class as well as abstract class. And what is the what is the limitation of an abstract class? You cannot create an object of an abstract class. Are you able to create an object here? Is it going, is it giving you any error?
No.
So that means we are able to create an object,
Oh, okay. So it would be concrete.
right? So this is not an abstract class. This is a full-fledged concrete class whose object can be created.
Mm-hmm.
So we have created the frame, and now we have to add the panel to it. Frame is the outermost. To that frame, we will add the panel, right? So that frame is the outermost frame. In that frame you are going to add the content, and that's why the panel name I have given window content. So now there is a method called set content pane, where in frame. So set content pane, in that I'll add the panel. What is our panel name? It is window content. So we have added this. So this was the fourth step. Out to the outermost J frame, we have added the panel. Then next, this frame should be made visible. And before that, you may have to set its size as well. So frame dot set size. Here you have to give the dimension. We want it to be horizontal, so let's give it 600 into 300, or say 150. Let it be 1/5. Height is 1/5 of the width. And now frame should be visible. Frame dot set visible equal to true. Done. So we have seen two methods. One where we have just extended from JFrame. We know that JFrame is the outermost, but here you can see there are no UI elements added to this window. But in this window, there are many UI elements are added. So it is always good practice to create UI elements, add them to a panel, and then add the panel to the frame. That's what we have done here. So it's not always necessary to derive from that JFrame class. We have actually created an object of the JFrame class here. Done. Now next what? Just run this and see what happens. Are you able to see us on your screen, right? This.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the simple calculator. Now it has only UI. That means you can do whatever you want here, but it won't give you anything. It is, we have created only the UI part. We have not yet added functionality to this. So the next step is to add functionality to this. So you can see, you can get familiar with this. So this, the window, right, the outermost window, that is nothing but uh, the outermost window is the JFrame. And in that window JFrame, there is a cross which is used to close it, maximize button, there is a minimize button, there is a title where this simple calculator, we have set the title here. So that has gone as a title, and you can see that here written simple calculator. Then you have these UI elements. So that means wherever this UI element is there, right, that is the panel, but it is irresponsive. That means it doesn't respond to your actions. If you click this add button, nothing happens.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we have to add the functionality to this. So let's do that. And one more thing I forgot to show. When we execute this, then you can actually grab this corner and you can see now I am decreasing the width. and when I'm decreasing the width, it is actually, right, you're able to see, right, is it is responsive.
Okay.
This is not exactly what we want, but what you said, right, what if you want a vertical layout? So you can see that it arranges itself. So that is the nature of flow layout, that it arranges the UI elements in horizontal direction. But if the, for example, here you can see, as soon as the row is finished, one row is finished, the UI element moves to the next row. Let's
Yeah.
reduce it again. The row length, or the row is, right, the width is filled completely, so the next element moves to the next line. Again, if you reduce it, some will also go to the next line. Again, if you reduce it further, and this is what you actually want. Right. So that is the UI part.
Okay.
So there are different types of layout managers. We can actually create a proper calculator where you will have a grid layout, and you can actually have this you can actually divide the window into two columns, left and right. In left hand side you add all the labels, in right hand side you add all the text fields, and then you can have that. So we'll do that later. That is called grid layout. We'll do that later. Right now that is not much important. So we'll move to the next thing, that is adding uh, functionality to this.
Okay.
Okay, so when you are let's bring that window back. So this is the window. If I am adding numbers to this text box, that is actually an event. If I am clicking this add button, that is also a event. So these are events. Events are nothing but the actions taken by user. So I can take my mouse to a button, then you can see the button hovers, right? That is called hovering. I can click it. So click is an event. Hovering is an event. Adding text input or changing the text of a text field, that is also an event. So there are various events, and your program or your application is what? It has to react to those events, right? So if a particular event happens, what action has to be taken, that your program should be able to decide. And how will it decide? Only if you are giving the instructions for that. So you will have to give that on a particular event what action has to be taken, right? So here we have to do that. So we will come to this calculator again. Let's first try to understand what does that actually mean. So let's go back to our hello world program. Okay, in this we will do a simple thing, that is we will create another class. Okay, uh, let's create another class itself, new Java class. Now when you have to say, for example, as I said, what action has to be taken when an event has already taken place, or when an event takes place, how your program should respond to it. So you write code for that, and such codes are called event listeners or action listeners. What is the name? Listeners. So that means there is a, you can think of it as some entity which is sitting in your program. When you uh, when that event takes place, then that entity gets active. So it is continuously listening to that event, right? For example, a button click. So it will be continuously listening to that button click. As soon as the button is clicked, that function or that method has to be activated, right? So such codes or such programs or such methods are called action listeners or event listeners. So if you have to create an event listener, what you are going to do is, again, this is a set procedure which you have to follow. So say for example here, I'll create an action listener. So I'll create a class, and let's say, because it is something which will be taking care of, right, how the calculator should work. So I'll say, let it be called calculator engine. Engine means something which drives. So this drives the calculator program. That's why we have given the name calculator engine, right? But we want it to listen to the events. So that's why I will use the term implements. I will explain you what is implements later. As I told in the beginning, that we will do a session on interface later. For the time being, this abstract class is sufficient. We will first use this implement, and then I'll explain you later what it is, right? So after that, just like extend, you can say that it is similar to extend, not exactly same, but it is similar to extend. And here I'll extend it from a class called action listener, right? So there is an inbuilt, not class, interface called action listener. So implements is always used with a interface. I'll explain you what is interface later, but for the timing, you can say that interface is also similar to abstract class. The only thing in interface is that there cannot be any concrete method in an abstract, in an interface. So that is the only difference. So that means it is abstract. You have to, whatever functions or methods are there, you have to first implement them. So the one method which is part of this is, if you click here, it will give you that, right? And that is implement methods. So if I click the implement methods, it will implement the method. It will show me the list of those methods which must be implemented, and the name of that method is action performed. So just select that and click OK, and it will create a function for you. So action performed, now you see the name of these methods, right? They are self-explanatory. So when a particular action happens, then this action listener should be called. And when this action listener, that is calculator engine, when this is called, then what action has to be performed? So this action has to be performed. So that's why the name of the function is, or name of the method is given as action performed. Now, as you can see here, it takes input. As its input, it takes an argument called action event. If the type of this is action event, all these classes, action listener, action event, before that you have seen JPanel, JTextField, all these classes are inbuilt classes. They are provided by the libraries of Java. We are just using it, right, in order to write our own program. So now here, what do you want? Suppose in this very simple program, I just want to create a, you can say, alert box, right? Let's do that. So that is given by J option pane. So J option pane is nothing but it's an option panel. It's basically a panel. Panel means a box which will act as an alert box. So this is actually an alert box. So we create this, and you have to create and show this. So for that, we have a function called show. You can say, as I wrote there, sh. You have various types of show there, right? So I just want confirm dialog. That just, it will give you yes or no or something like that. Confirm dialog, just a simplest alert box you can think of. First is the first, you can say here, the input is the component. We don't have any parent component. We'll just give it null value. Okay, that is the parent component. Next is message. What message you want to show? So let's say message here is nothing important. Next, you can see here, right? There are, it gives you an options above, right? Next is the title. What should be the title of this? Alert box. So I have given the name demo alert. Okay. After that, you have to give, you can see now in white, what is there? Option type. What type of option is this, right? So that is given by J option pane. Remember all these things, right? I will explain you all these things in detail later. So I'm just building a demo program to explain you different other concepts of object oriented programming. So what type of message is this? So it is just a plain message. That's all. And if it is not readable, let me, okay, I think that is sufficient. Yes, so it has these 4 arguments and our job is done.
Okay.
Now, you have a class called calculator. In that calculator, I have to, so I want this calculator engine to become active if the button on this calculator is, you have a simple calculator here, right? Say we have a dummy button here. So right now I am adding a dummy functionality to this, not to add the numbers. Just when I click this button, where is that? Where is that? Where is that? So what I want is that when I click this add button, this alert box which was here, it should open, it should show, it should become visible. But how to do that? You have a calculator engine class, you have a simple calculator class, but they are not related. So now we have to connect them. How to do this connection? Right? So that is very easy. That connection has to be added to that button. Button is in the simple calculator class. So you will have to go to that simple calculator class. Right? In that simple calculator class, suppose that button is there. In the button, here you have created the button. Here I want to add that simple calculator, sorry, the calculator engine. So that I'll do here. How to do that? So first I'll create, before adding to the panel, you can do it after that as well, but let's go in the sequence. So what I'm going to do here is add event listener. What happened? Spelling is wrong. Okay. So first we have to create that event listener. So where is that event listener? Here, the calculator engine. So first you'll have to create the object of that class. So let's do that. Say calculator engine. What should I say? Cal engine is equals to new calculator engine. That's all. Object is created. Now this should take care of any event on the sum button, on that button. So I'll say button dot sum, sorry, button sum. This was the name of the button, right? So button sum dot, right? You can see there, I'll say add. So here we have add action listener. So this is the method which we have to call. So here I'll add the action listener which we have created, that is calc engine. this is how you connect these two things. That is the event listener which you have created, or event listener or action listener, both are same, and the UI element. For example, here I want to add this functionality to only that button sum, right? Right now, this event listener doesn't do anything. This event listener does what? It just creates uh, an alert box. So now let's run this program and see what happens. Which is the program? Program is calculator, simple calculator. So we will have to run this. So execute this. You have 3 files, right? But the executable is hello world is also executable, but now that is we have done only for the demo purpose. Now we'll be using this simple calculator. So we have not done anything. Only thing which we have done new is now that we have added a event listener to the button. So now you click this and you see there is a demo alert button coming. I mean, alert box is coming here, right? Which
Okay.
is, are you able to see that?
Yeah.
Right? And if you see, it's a simple alert box which has title as demo alert. And where was the title set? Here. So this was the title, demo alert. Then you have nothing important, that was the message. So that is the message, nothing important. And it is just a confirm dialog button. So that means it just asks you whether you are okay with it or not. So you say okay, and this will close. Click add, it will come. Click okay, it will go. Add. Did you understand?
Yeah.
So the things, it may look a lot of things going on here, but you don't have to get stressed by that. So don't get confused by that. You if you think that you're already done, now you cannot take it anymore, you just tell me, we'll stop and we'll continue in the next class. But if you can, if you are not still saturated, right, we can just add the proper functionality where
Mhm.
number one has to be entered, number two has to be entered, and sum will be displayed.
Okay.
Okay,
Mhm.
so shall we do that?
Yeah.
Okay, so now this is done. Now what we have to do, this is not the actual functionality what we want. What we actually want is that once this add button is clicked, number ones, whatever is there in number one, this text field, whatever is there in number two, say for example, if there is 34 here, if there is 23 here, then this should show 57
Yeah.
when I click add. But right now it is doing this, which is actually a demo button. So let's do that. So now what all things are left? So basically, when you click add, what do you think should happen in background? I think that it should read the input from those two fields, then it should add those two input, and then it should display in the third field,
Right.
right? From a outsider who doesn't know even programming, who doesn't even know programming, this is how you will divide it into various steps, right? Read the two inputs, process the two inputs, and display in the result field. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do the same thing. Let's do that. So basically here what you have to do now, from the first class, that is simple calculator, from that uh, so that is something which is holding the UI, and calculator engine is the class which is doing the backend operations. So the data from the first object, that is simple calculator, that should go to the calculator engine, and result from the calculator engine should go to the again UI.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to pass the data between objects.
Okay.
Simple calculator data should be given to calculator engine, and calculator engine's result should be displayed on the simple calculator, I mean UI.
Mhm.
So how are we going to do that? Let's see that. So we actually have, what we are going to do here is we'll actually create you can say uh, a another class to do this, that is to read the input and to set the data. So what we are going to do here is we are going to create another class, a third class. Let's give name to this. Let's say the name is uh, calculator. It's a simple class, won't derive anything from anywhere, but it will have two it will have a variable, let's say private j text field, and the name of the text field, let's say display field. That's all. And it will have a setter and getter, right? What is setter and getter? So setter and getters are, let's say because this is private, right? So how to set the data to this, how to get the data from this, for that we have to write the setters and getters. So public void set display field, right? So that is for setter. Not like this. Let's say we give it a string and we set the display field's text value dot set text to this value. That is the setter. And similarly, we have to create a getter. These things, setters and getters, I have explained you earlier as well. I hope you still remember. So
Yeah.
right, let it return a string. So display field dot get text. So these are the setters and getters. So calculator engine and simple calculator. What is this calculator doing? Calculator engine is the back end. Simple calculator is the front end. This calculator.java is sitting in between the simple calculator, which is the front end, and the back end, which is implemented in calculator engine. So what it will do is the calculator engine is not able to access the text fields on the UI. So this will give it the access. So we are defining the public getters and setters method in calculator that will allow outsiders to access the display field without knowing whether it exists or how does it exist, right? So this is how we are going to do it. So we had this display field and we created this setters and getters for this. Okay, so now how we have to just 1 minute.